let's take a look. I want to know which graph represents 10x plus 5y is greater than -4. Now, what form is this written in?
It's an
Standard
equation.
form.
You said what form it was? Dashed?
So what I'm asking is it in standard form or is it in slope-intercept form?
Standard form.
Standard.
Yeah, it's in standard. And is that very useful for us?
No.
It's not. Remember that what I said yesterday or on Tuesday? Standard form doesn't give us a whole lot of information. So what should we do?
Convert it to slope.
Changes the slope intercept.
We want to turn it into slope-intercept form, exactly. So let's go ahead and do that. So I need to turn this into slope-intercept form because standard form can be pretty sneaky. With standard form, you're not going to be so sure of the symbol because what can happen sometimes? Remember what happened on Tuesday? What happens to that symbol sometimes?
It flips.
Yeah, sometimes it flips. So we don't want to look at standard form. We want to convert it first and then look at the symbol. So in this case, to turn this into slope-intercept form, what should I do to both sides?
Subtract 10x.
Subtract 10x on both sides. And over on the right side, okay, well, I get 5y is greater than, what do I write on the right hand side?
Negative 10x.
Negative 10x minus 4.
Negative 10x minus 4. Good. And the second step is to do what?
Divide by 5.
Divide by 5. I'm dividing by positive 5, so does my sign flip?
No.
It doesn't, it stays the same. So I have y is greater than, what do I get on the right?
Negative 2x.
Negative 2x
Minus 4 over 5.
minus 4 over 5. Good. There's my final slope-intercept equation. Now I know a couple things. What's my slope?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. It's a negative slope. What's the y-intercept?
Negative 4 over 5.
Good, negative 4 over 5. And I have a symbol, I have a greater than symbol. What does that tell me about the graph?
It's dashed.
Dashed and? Alyssa says it in the chat. It's going to be shaded above. So only one answer choice meets all of the criteria. Negative slope, the y-intercept is negative 4 over 5, and the dash line is shaded above. Which of those is it?
C.
C.
C, good. Answer
Oh, I
choice
think it
C.
didn't look like above because I think because for some reason C was above, but I didn't actually look at that. Because when I was thinking like the negative side was it, so I chose B.
Yeah, so that's something that I wanted to actually go over really quickly because some people were having trouble visualizing above and below. So I just want to, let's take a look at answer choice A super quick. In answer choice A, where is this shaded, above or below?
Above.
This is above. Now, it also kind of looks like it's on the right, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So one way that you can just quickly visualize if it's above or below is just pick a point on the line anywhere. And now look at that point. Is the shaded region above the point or below the point?
Above.
Above. So if you're ever unsure about if it's above or below, pick a point on that line. Just stick you can even put your finger right on the line on the computer screen and look up and look down. Is it above or is it below?
Okay, so like see like any point that's like not shaded or that's like on the line and check if it's above or below.
Yeah, that's how you can check. So for answer choice B, is that above or below?
Below.
Yeah.
Below.
Below. We already know C is above. D.
Below.
Below. Exactly. Oh, you got all right, so we'll kind of look through that again today if we need to, but basically today we're going to kind of move past this because today we're going to talk a little bit more about word problems. So do I have any questions on this or on the Khan Academy assignment in general before we start? All right, and what I want to do quickly before we begin is if any of you were absent yesterday or, because of the Wi-Fi and the rain, things were acting up. If you didn't see this yet, I want you guys to take a picture of the screen, take a screenshot. You can take your phones out, take a picture right now, because this is going to help you to understand if it's going to be a solid line, dotted line, and whether you should shade above the line or below the line. So I'm going to give you guys about 10 seconds right now to just take a quick picture. But ultimately, you can write this in your notebooks as well, and that's going to be good to study from over the weekend. All right. So now let's go ahead and take a look at today's lesson. So when you're given a word problem, we're going to highlight a couple of things and then put it all together to create an inequality. So can I get a volunteer to read for us this word problem? Elijah, what's he doing?
You want us to read it?
Yes, who can read?
Oh my God, I thought you told Elijah. Can you read?
No, Elijah's the person in the problem, but can somebody read for us? What is Elijah doing?
Okay, Elijah can spend at most $8.25 on snacks for a party. Carrots cost $2 per package, and grapes cost 75 cents per bag. Write a linear inequality to describe the situation. Let X represent the number of packages of carrots, and let Y represent the number of bags of grapes.
Awesome. So I'm going to highlight a few things. At most, $8.25. Carrots are $2 per package. Grapes are 75 cents per package. And they're telling us which variables to use. So we're going to write that down as well. So what I want you guys to do at home or at school in your notebooks is just write down this word problem, just the situation, just that part. And then together we'll go through it and we'll write our inequality out of that. So take a couple seconds, just write the actual problem.
We write the things in blue.
Write the what?
The things in blue.
You can highlight them or underline them, yeah.
Also, we write the whole problem.
Yes, just the scenario. You don't have to write the part underneath. All right. So now I'm just going to write I'm going to write what I know. So I know that X represents the number of packages of carrots. So the number of packages of carrots. And I know Y represents the number of bags of grapes. Now, I also know that carrots are $2 per package and grapes are 75 cents per bag. So when he checks out at the checkout aisle, it's going to be the cost of carrots plus the cost of grapes. And all of that has to be within his budget. He can only spend $8.25. So will that be do we want his total to be more than $8.25 or less than $8.25?
Less than.
Less than. So I'm going to put a less than symbol. Can it be equal to $8.25?
Yes.
Yes.
Be at most.
At most. So we can include $8.25. So it's less than or equal to. Alrighty. I wrote grapes. There we go. Alrighty, so now let's put everything together. If I need to know the cost of carrots, what should I write?
$2.
2, and it's $2 times the amount of packages. So this would be
2x.
x. And then the grapes, that's going to be
0.75.
0.75. And the variable we're using for grapes
Y.
is y. So there is our an inequality. 2x plus 0.75y is less than or equal to 825. What form is this in?
Standard form.
It's in standard form. We're going to leave it as standard form for now because we're not graphing it, so we don't need to convert it. We can leave it just the way it is. So that's kind of it. It's not too bad. You really have to read it carefully so that you know which symbol to use. But other than that, it's always going to be pretty straightforward like this. So we're going to do another example. You guys ready?
Miss, hold up, I want to copy.
Okay, take a couple more seconds to copy. I got you. All right. So that's the first example. Let's go ahead and try another one. Who can read this one? Cassie read the last one. Who can read this one? You guys are worse than my period too. They were really quiet today as well.
I'll read it.
Go ahead, Darian.
Romana had $18 that she could spend on food for her dog. Dry dog food costs $5.15 per small. I gotta move this real quick.
Okay.
And wet dog food costs $2 per can. Write a linear inequality that describes how many bags and cans of dog food can Romana buy.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so in this case, they don't tell us what to put for our variables. So we can use whatever variables we want. Does anyone want to give me a variable to use?
X.
X, we want to keep it basic, X and Y. You don't want to live a little?
J.
J. Sometimes what you can do is look at what you're actually like talking about. And since we're talking about dry food and wet food, what letters make sense?
D and W.
D and W.
Yeah, D and W. Why not? I'm sick of X's and Y's. We do X's and Y's all the time. Let's switch it up. All right, so D represents the number of dry food bags. And then W will be the number of wet food cans. And then she has $18. So should the total be less than $18 or more than $18?
Less than.
It's got to be less than. Can it be equal to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So would anyone like to write the inequality for us? Give it a shot.
$5.50
Mm-hmm.
D
Mm-hmm.
plus $2 W
Mm-hmm.
is is less than or equal to 18.
You got it. Nice job. Nice job. Just like that. Just like the previous problem. We kind of take what we're adding up and it has to be less than the total amount, less than or equal to 18. Now I'm just going to simplify it since 550, I can simplify that and just make it 5.5. And the $2, I can simplify it, just make it 2. There's my final inequality. the hardest part usually is figuring out which symbol you want to use. So in the next problem, my one clue for you guys is just make sure you're reading it very carefully. Does anyone still need a second to write things down?
I need to write it down.
Okay, take a second, take a minute. All right. Can I move on? All right. So the next one is all for you, all on your own, okay? Here we go. Try it on your own. Write the inequality that represents this scenario. Like I said before, I want you to read it very carefully so that you pick the correct symbol to use. I'm going to put 4 minutes on the clock. And if you think you have it, you can always send it in the chat. I'm happy to tell you if you're right or wrong. About a minute left. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so this one seems pretty innocent. It seems like it's going to be easy, but then you get to the part where you have to think of the correct symbol, and that's where we get into trouble. So the total fees for the high school play are $250. Tickets to the play cost $5 for students and $8 for non-students. And a lot of you might have stopped there. Like I do that all the time. I finished reading and I'm like, okay, I'm done. No, let's read the next sentence because it's going to be important. Write a linear inequality that describes the number of students and non-student tickets that need to be sold for the drama class to be able to pay the fees. So here's the situation. The drama club has to pay 200, they owe 250. They're in debt. They owe 250. In order to pay that money, because that's a lot of money, they're going to raise that money by selling tickets. So they're going to earn money from the tickets, and then they're going to take that money and use it to pay off their debt. So if you're the drama club, do you want to earn less than $250 or do you want to earn more than $250?
More.
Yeah, you want to earn more than $250 so that you can pay back your debt. So what variables did y'all use? It didn't tell you what you had to use. So did anyone pick any fun ones?
S and N.
S and N? So S is number of student tickets. And N is number of non-student tickets. And who can give me the inequality that they got?
$5S plus
Mhm.
8N equals 200. Oh, no. Greater, less than or equal to 250.
250. Okay. Greater than, less than, equal to?
Greater than or equal to.
Greater than or equal to, because we remember what we just said. We want to earn more than 250 so that we can pay it back. Does that make a little sense? Because if you were under, if they didn't sell enough tickets, they would not be able to pay what they owe. They owe $250, so they have to earn at least $250 and then more so that they can make a profit. So there is our final answer. Do I have questions on this one?
No.
Not too bad, right, so far? All right, here's one more. What I want you guys to do with this one is do A and send me your answer so that I can check it for you. And then once you have the right answer, you can try part B. So this one's very similar. Start with part A, send me your answer, and then you can do part B. I'll put 5 minutes on the clock. about a minute and a half remaining. Like I said, if you have part A, you can go on to part B. Okay, about 15 seconds left. Get your final answers. All right, and that's 10. Okay. Let's try this. So part A is probably a little bit easier because we were doing this all along. The fare for a taxi cab is $2.50 per passenger and 75 cents for each mile. A group of friends has $22 for the cab fare. Who can give me the inequality?
Me, I can get it to you.
Go for it.
$2.50 P. Oh, P is my variable for passenger
Awesome.
plus 0.5 0.75 M is my variable for miles. Greater than or equal to $22.
$22. You said greater than or equal to, but when you sent me your answer, you had it correct. So is it going to be greater than or equal to, or is it going to be less than or equal to?
I'm put greater because they give him they give I'm saying, a little tip.
Okay, but if we're not going to give him any tips, if these are bad customers, we want to keep they only have 22, right? They only have $22 to spend. So whatever they do spend has to be less than or equal to $22. Make sense? Okay. All right, now for part B, if there are 3 people in the group, how far can they go? So I'm seeing some correct answers in the chat. Let me just respond. If you feel like you want to share with the class how you can figure that out, can anyone give me an idea?
I have an idea. What
Okay.
I did was I multiplied the 3 by 250, and then I subtracted that from $22, and then I had $4.50 left. Pretty much what I did was I just divided 450 by 75 by 0.075.
You got the perfect steps. You got them perfectly in order. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that all down. So the first thing is basically what Christopher is saying. We're going to replace the P with a 3 so we can multiply. So this would be 250 times 3. Let me color code. So I'm going to be plugging in a 3 for P because now I know it's 3 people. So I plug in a 3, leave everything else exactly the same. And then what did we get for 250 times 3?
7.50.
750. So 7.5 plus 0.75 m is less than or equal to 22. All right, and then like Christopher said, the next step is we're going to subtract that value from both sides. So 750, we take that away on both sides so that we can subtract it from the 22. So what's 22 minus 750?
4.50.
4.50. Try again. I think that's where you might have gone wrong, but try that. 22 minus 750. Not 4.50, but 14.50. Yeah. So 0.75 m equals 14.5. And then now I can divide that by 75 cents, by 0.75. And what's 14.5 divided by 0.75? Oops. I'm running out of room. Okay, I'm running out of room, but all I'm doing is dividing by 0.75. What do I get?
19.3.
19.3? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. 19.3. And that's 19.3 what?
The miles?
Miles.
Miles, yeah, miles. All right, cool. So I know that the number of miles they can travel, by the way, this was not an equal sign, it was a less than sign, less than or equal to. So they can travel anywhere less than or equal to 19.3 miles in order to stay in the budget. Okay, so do I have questions on part B? That was definitely a little bit more challenging, but essentially we just had to plug in that 3 and then see what you get for the value of m. Any questions? Good job, guys. All right, so now we're going to move on to the last thing, which is that now that we kind of know how to write these inequalities, we can also use them in order to graph. So we're going to graph this scenario, but let's start just by writing the inequality. So can I get a volunteer? This is the last one, by the way. The last one you guys would have to read. So who would like to be our last reader?
Miss, we always got a graph.
Yeah, you always got a graph. You know that. Don't be surprised.
I can read.
Go for it, Darian.
Students are raising money for a field trip by selling candles and soap. The sandals cost 75 cents each. It will be sold for $2.75. And the soap costs $1.50 per bar, and it will be sold for $4. The student need to raise at least $300 to cover their trip costs.
Awesome. All right. So this is a little bit different. Why? How come this is a little bit different than the ones we've done before?
Because we have sort of like these three variables.
Yeah, there's a little bit more going on. They're not telling us just the price of candles and then just the price of soap. They're saying that, okay, the candles cost 75 cents, but then they're going to go and sell them for a higher price. Why would they be selling them for a higher price?
To increase more money.
Yeah, because then
make profit.
They can make profit, exactly. So the question is, what is the money that they're earning by selling candles and by selling soap? What's the profit?
$2.
$2 for candles. How'd you do that?
Subtract.
Yeah. So for the candles, the profit is $2. How about for soap?
It cost $1.50 and sold for $4. So that's
$2.50.
that's $3.50.
$3.50, a little bit lower. Yeah.
$2.50.
$2.50. There you go. So that's the profit. That's how much we're earning. So now we can use, these are the numbers we're going to use in the inequality. All right, so what do we say? Okay, here it's telling us that candles is C and soap is S. So we're going to use those variables, and the profits have to be at least $300. So who can give me an inequality?
I can write down on paper first.
Yeah, take a second. Take a second.
So I could do, let's see.
Okay, I see Ascanio wrote it in the chat.
I got it.
You got it too? What do you have?
I got $2. C is my variable for candles. Plus $2.50. S is my variable for soap. Greater than or equal to 300.
Perfect. So we definitely want that to be greater than, because again, that should be at 300. Again, we need it to be greater than because they need to raise at least $300. In reality, they want to earn $300 and more because they want to make as much money as possible. So this one would be a greater than symbol. Nice job, Darian. Do I have any questions on why it's greater than and not less than? All right, cool. So here is my inequality. Now we're going to graph it. So let me just copy this. Hold on. Copy, okay. And paste. So I need to copy this, I need to graph this inequality, but what have I always said? If I want to graph it, what's bad about this?
I wasn't here that class, so.
It goes by 25.
Okay, so, okay, I'm seeing a lot of different things. So as far as, yeah.
It's not gonna, that equation's not gonna help you because it's standard form, you need to convert it.
Yeah, this is in standard form.
Theory.
That's right. So there's a few issues. The people who sent me answers are not wrong, but this was the question I was asking. So this is in standard form, which is not going to help us out for graphing. Notice in all the previous problems we did today, I left it just like that in standard form. But now that I need to graph something, that's where I have to convert it to slope-intercept form. So let's do that. So this is what we did the other day. If you weren't here or if you missed that class, make sure we're writing this down because this is going to come up on, definitely come up on a test. The first thing I'm going to do, just to make our lives a little bit easier, is I'm going to simplify this. So instead of 2.00, I'm just writing 2. Instead of 2.50, I'm just writing 2.5. Just leaving it a little bit simpler. And if I need to convert this into slope-intercept form, what should I do first?
Subtract 2c.
Good, subtract 2c. By the way, we don't have x and y. We have c and s. But if you look at the x-axis and the y-axis is candles. So we know that that one is C. Yeah.
C and S.
And then this is soap. So I know that that's, yeah. And it also kind of shows it. This is S and this is C. So that's how you know which one is which. All right. Well, actually, you know what? If that's the case, then we actually have, I have to fix this. Hold on. My bad, guys. Sorry. Since C is the y-axis, right? C is the y-axis. I'm actually going to rewrite this using x and y, just to make sure we keep that straight. Because you always want to make sure you know which one is the y-axis and which one is the x-axis. So does anyone have questions as to why I changed the C to a y and the S to an X?
You change it so you won't get confused between the
Yeah.
Y.
Exactly. And now I can actually do what I wanted to do, which is I need to convert this to slope-intercept form, which means I need to get the y by itself. So what should I move to the other side?
The 2.5.
Mm-hmm. See why I did that, guys? Because I got a little bit confused just now. So that's what we're moving. So I subtract 2.5x. Can I combine like terms on the right side?
No.
No, one has an x, the other does not. The 300 is all alone. It does not have a variable, so we cannot combine like terms. So I'm going to leave this as, what do I write?
Negative 2.5x plus 300.
Mm-hmm. Negative 2.5x plus 300. And now what do I need to do to both sides?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. Exactly. All right. Negative 2.5 divided by 2. We can use a calculator. I will allow you to use a calculator. What do you get? Yes, I see one in the chat. That's correct.
I got negative 1.25.
Good. Negative 1.25x. And then what's 300 divided by 2?
150.
150. There's our equation. Y is greater than or equal to negative 1.25x plus 150. All right, here's where we hit the second problem. And I think Alyssa was saying this in the chat before. What is my issue now? This problem is full of issues.
Well, the slope is a negative, therefore it means it's going down.
Okay, that's not a problem though. I mean, you're correct, it's going down. But there's something else a little bit fishy about the slope.
Oh, it starts at 150, not 0.
That's also true. That's also true. But that's also not an issue. You're telling me correct things that are not issues. What is something that is kind of an issue?
Oh, wait, can you grab that that negative 1.25? Can you put that on the thing?
That's what yep, that's the problem. I have a decimal. Can anyone remember why that's a problem? Why do I prefer fractions over decimals?
Because you can do rise over run with it.
Yeah, because fractions help us to know the rise and the run. Decimals don't. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can convert this. So I know the slope is negative 1.25. But can anybody think of how do I write 1.25 as a fraction?
Oh, one whole and 5 is denominator, 2 on top.
You're close. It's actually, you're on the right track. What's 0.25 as a fraction?
1/4.
1/4.
1/4. Yeah. 1/4. So this is the same as negative 1 1/4. But that still doesn't show me rise over run. I would like that to look like an improper fraction.
Negative 5.
Negative 1 times 4 plus 1.
5/4.
Yeah, okay, I heard it a couple times.
Negative 5.
Negative 5/4. You got it. You got it. Good job. That was a little complicated. Would anyone like me to show that step by step again? We feel okay about that? Okay.
Actually, I don't know how to convert it from standard form to
Slope intercept?
yes.
Okay, so that whole process when I was converting all the way, here's what I'll do, we have one more example in the next slide. I'll do it again and then ask me if you have questions after that, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we have the slope. Now I know that the slope is negative 5/4, so I'm gonna rewrite this using my fraction. So this is y is greater than or equal to negative 5/4 x plus 150. And I think it was, I forget who was saying, I think it was Christopher was saying that this is gonna start at the 150. And that's because the y-intercept is 150. So when I graph this, the first point that I put down on the graph is gonna be where?
150.
150, on which axis, x or y?
Y.
On the y-axis. All right, now this is a little annoying because this y-axis is going by 20s. But it's gonna be like right between 140 and 160. All right, cool. Now what? Now my slope is negative 5 over 4. So what are the directions for the slope?
Go down 1 and to the right 4.
Go down
5.
5 and to the right 4. But here's problem number 3. Oh my goodness, this problem is full of problems. If I wanted to count down 5 and then 4 to the right, would that be easy using this graph or a little bit complicated?
It would be
Mad
complicated.
complicated, man.
You would have to go down
Yeah.
left instead of right.
It would be hard because what is the it's going down by 20s and then it's going by 25s, but really by 12 and a half. This is a complicated graph. This is a complicated graph. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Okay. And what I want you guys to think in this moment right now, if you feel totally lost, totally confused, and you're like, Miss Lopez, what the heck? Don't stress, because this problem is a little bit extra and you probably won't see something like this on a test. But it's good. It's a good problem because it kind of forces us to do a couple of different things. Okay, so like I said, this is negative 5 over 4. But I can rewrite that to my advantage. In other words, let's see, what number times 4 gives me 100? What number times 4 gives me 100?
20. No, 25.
25, right? 25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 25. So here's what I get. So what's 5 times 25?
125.
125, right? So this is 125 over, like we said, 4 times 25 is 100. Okay. So I'm making an equivalent fraction that's going to be easier for me to use. Because now what are my directions?
Go down 125 and to the right 100.
Go down 125 and to the right 100. So if I'm starting at 150 and I need to go down 125, where do I end up? My directions are go down 125 units. But I'm at 150 right now. My starting point is 150. So where do I end up?
You would be at 25.
Out 25, exactly. Because I go down 125. 150 minus 125 is 25. So I'm about here, right? And then I go to the right by 100. So that leads me to right there. So there's my second point. Like I said, if you're feeling very lost and confused right now, that this problem was way more extra than any problem you're going to see on the test. Don't stress out. Don't stress out. The next problem that we're going to do is more like what you would see on a test. So right now, this problem is doing a lot. Don't stress out. What you should know, however, now that I have the line graphed, I need to shade, right? Because I have an inequality. My inequality is greater than or equal to. So should I be shading above the line or should I be shading below the line?
Above the line.
Above.
Above. So here's my final graph. All right. So what I definitely want you guys to make sure you understand, even if this whole fraction situation was confusing, like I said, this problem had a lot of very difficult parts to it. Okay, but at the end of the day, graphing it you should at least know two things. We know that the slope was negative. Does the slope look negative? Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it goes down, right? The graph had a solid line. Why is it a solid line?
Because it's a greater than or equal to sign.
Because it's a greater than or equal to sign, exactly. The y-intercept was 150. Why was it at 150? Where did we get that number from?
The equation.
The equation. And finally, it is shaded above. I know that because of what? How do I know that I had to shade above?
Because of the sign.
Because of the sign. Okay, so those are the important things. Don't worry so much about the slope. Okay, don't worry so much about the slope. But as long as you know that the slope is negative, the y-intercept is 150, we're shading above, and it's a solid line, you're good. Because on a test, remember, tests usually are going to be multiple choice questions. So with multiple choice, you're able to do process of elimination and get rid of a lot of answers until you find the correct one. So on that note, let's look at what that's going to look like. This is more like what you would see on a test. On a test, you're not necessarily going to graph it, but you have to pick the correct graph. So you still have to go through the process, but you can use process of elimination as well. So I'm going to give you guys, I'll start with 5 minutes. See how far you can get, see if you can get the answer for this one, and then we'll go through it together. 5 minutes, and I'll put up a poll. There you go. So read it to yourself, read it carefully, and see what you get. See what you get. Okay, we're about halfway through. If you have questions, put them in the chat. Once you have your answer, put it in the poll. Okay, 1 minute is left. So far, the winning answer is the correct answer. Let's see if we keep that up. So far, it's looking good. But I'm still missing a lot of votes. All right. If you haven't put your answer yet, go ahead and put it in. Pick the best one in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, ready for the results? Here we go. B was the winning answer. And now let's check to see if B is correct. Let's see. So Tara is planting flowers in her garden. She wants to buy rose seeds, which cost $2 per packet, and tulip seeds, which cost $1 per packet. In order to use her credit card, she must spend more than $4. If X is the number of packets of rose seeds and Y is the number of packets of tulip seeds, which of the following graphs correctly shows the amount of seeds Tara can purchase? Okay. In order to figure out the correct graph, I need an inequality. So who can give me the inequality for this problem? What is the inequality?
You want us to read the problem?
Nope, just give me the inequality.
Oh.
Anyone can answer this.
I think I know the sign.
Okay, let's start with that. What do you think the sign is going to be?
Greater than or equal to?
Yeah, how'd you choose that one?
Because it says that he can spend more than $4.
Right, so he has to spend more than $4. Can he spend $4 or does it have to be something more than $4?
More, because it said more than $4.
Yeah, it says more. So in other words, should this be greater than or equal to or just greater than?
Just greater than.
Just greater than. There you go. So I have my sign, I have my symbol, but let's fill in everything else on the left side. Let's have the full inequality. Who can give me that?
$2 R or 2R plus 1T.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you used R and T, but I'm gonna use X and Y because it says so. So in this case, they tell us what to use. If they tell you what to use, you might as well use it. If they don't tell you what to use, that's when you can come up with your own variables. All right, so I have my inequality. This is written in standard form. Can I use that information or do I have to do something first?
You have to convert the equation.
Yeah, we got to convert just like usual. If I want to graph this, I got to convert it first. What do I do to both sides?
Subtract by 2.
Subtract by 2x. What do I write on the right-hand side? What can I write on the right-hand side?
2.
Well, can I combine those? Can I actually do 4 minus 2?
Negative 2x plus 4.
Right, we can't combine them, so we're going to keep them separate. Negative 2x plus 4. And technically in this last step, I would divide by 1, but dividing by 1 just gives me the same answers. So I'm going to leave it like that. I have y is greater than negative 2x plus 4. So what do I know about this graph? Now that I have it in slope-intercept form, what do I know?
That the slope is negative 2
Mm-hmm.
and the
Slope is
y-intercept
negative
is
2.
4.
The y-intercept is 4. And what other piece of information since I have an inequality? Since I have an inequality, what's the last bit of information I know?
Less than, so it's dotted and
To see if
shaded.
it's greater than or less than or equal to.
Right, and this case it's greater than. So I know that the graph is gonna dotted line or solid line?
Solid. It's solid.
Think back to the chart if you wrote it down in your notes.
Oh, it doesn't have like the line under it, so it's gonna be dashed.
Yeah, this is gonna be dashed, dotted, because there's no equal to. Since it's just greater than, it's dashed. And am I shading above or below?
Above.
Above.
Above. Okay, so let's look at our graphs. Which one can I eliminate and why?
A and C.
Why?
Because it's
Because
shaded
they're
below.
shaded under.
Good, both of those are shading under. And then from there, what can I use to help me pick the correct one?
The slope.
Use your finger.
Use your finger, but also I know the slope and
The
I know the
slope.
y. Yeah, what about the slope? How do I know which one's right? The slope is negative 2, right? So which of those has a negative slope?
But I think about the slope, man. So I think it's B.
Yeah, because if you look at this graph, just the line, don't ignore the shaded region for now, but just the line of that graph, in B it's negative, and in D that's positive. And like, who said that? That was Dejuan?
Wait,
If
how
you
do
think,
you know if it's negative if it doesn't say the negative sign?
because it's not about where you are, it's about the shape, it's about the direction that that line is going in. Remember slope man? The left one is
Oh, yeah.
negative, the right one is positive. Okay, so notice the shape in B, that's the negative one. In D, that's positive. It's going up. So B is our answer.
Miss, you know what's funny? I just clicked any answer when you were counting down, and I still got it right.
Were you that last person who came in at the last second? I saw it.
Yes.
I saw you. Now, if you were a little bit confused about the slope, you can also look at the y-intercept because we know that the y-intercept should be 4. And in B, it does touch the 4, but D, it doesn't pass through the 4 at all. So that's why B is correct. All the other ones you could eliminate. So kind of, this is what I was saying before. The previous problem, we had to do the graph ourselves. We had to go through that whole process. That's not really how it looks like on a test. On a test, they give you a bunch of graphs and you have to pick the correct one. So it's a little bit easier in that sense, but you still have to do the work. You still have to figure out what's the slope, what's the y-intercept, and then what direction you're graphing in order to pick the correct answer. So do I have any final questions? Alrighty. So here's what we're doing for the rest of class. I'm going to give you an opportunity to work on your Khan Academy assignments right now. There's about 15 minutes left. So I just want to make sure that everyone has the chance to try it while we're here together. And then if you have questions on it, I can try my best to explain it while we're here. So go ahead and open up Khan Academy, get to work on those assignments. And then I know that a couple of you already finished. So those of you who already finished, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an extra credit assignment that you can complete instead. So give me just a moment to do that. If you already finished your assignments, can you just send it in the chat? Let me know in the chat really quickly so I know who you are. Okay, those of you who are like done. If you did it already, but you want to try for a better score, then you can keep working on that. But those who did it and got 100, feel good about it. Dejuan, what I would say is try for a better score on the one that you got a 50 on. And then if you finish that, then you can try the extra credit.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, those of you who said they were done, I just sent you the link.
Wait, which one of the two?
Which one of the two? Both get started on one and see if you can finish it by the time class is done.